the California Small Business Relief Grant. So this is a grant that's available to California small businesses. It was announced about the same time that the latest shutdown happened. You might remember they talked about a $25,000 grant for California small businesses. So I wanted to go over the specifics now that we know a lot more about it. So let's take a look. Um, so the application for the grant goes live tomorrow, December 30th at 6 a.m. I put the website on there. careliefgrant.com is the website where you're going to do the application. The application is going to be available, at least the first round of the application is going to be available through January 8th. So opens December 30th, closes January 8th. But keep in mind, it is not first come, first served, so you don't need to jump on the website at 6 a.m. on December 30th. I'd actually probably advise not to because it's everybody else is going to be doing that. As long as you get your application in full by midnight on January 8th, then you will be in the application pool. It's more important to get it right than it is to get it in first. And you might see the name Lendistry on the website. That is the intermediary that is processing everything. So the state of California basically is using Lendistry to process everything. So a little bit more about the grant itself. So there was $475 million made available as part of this grant. Round one, half of that is going to be available. So there is going to be a round two as well. If you apply in round one, you don't need to reapply in round two. They'll automatically roll you over if you don't get the money in round one. So you only need to apply once. But just keep in mind there is going to be a second round as well. So basically, the grant is up to $25,000. And remember, it's a grant, it's not a loan, so you don't have to pay it back. And the amount of the grant that it's available is based on your revenue. So if your revenue was between 1,000 and 100,000, then you are eligible for up to $5,000 of a grant. And keep in mind, this is based on 2019 tax return or your latest tax return, which is probably 2019. So if your revenue was 100,000 to a million, then you're eligible for up to $15,000. And if your revenue was between a million and 2.5 million, you're eligible for $25,000 grant. It is up to, you can apply for less, although I don't know why you would want to. If you're eligible for 25,000, I would apply for all $25,000. And as I mentioned, it's based on 2019 tax return, so you want to take a look at that when looking at how much you might be eligible for. And it's also a stipulation that you must have been active since June 1st, 2019, so you couldn't have started a new business after June 1st, 2019 and still be eligible for this grant. So moving on, a couple more things about it. They say that you must have been impacted by COVID-19 restrictions. So for some of you, that's going to be pretty obvious. If you were shut down or limited in some way in your ability to do business, obviously you're going to be impacted. If you weren't shut down, if you weren't limited, but you had a loss of revenue due to COVID-19 restrictions, I would say that's pretty straightforward. Beyond that, I don't know what they would look at to say whether or not you've been impacted. I mean, if your revenue went up, it's probably going to be hard to show an impact unless you were also at the same time shut down somehow. So they don't say anything further other than the fact that you must have been impacted. The grant itself, the money that you receive, can be used for a couple of things. It can be used for payroll, including health insurance for your employees. It can't be used for any bonuses or things like that they did mention, but regular payroll. You can use it for rent, utilities, loan payments, as long as the loans were in effect prior to March. If you had expenses related to reopening your business after a shutdown, you can use it for that, or any costs related to complying with the restrictions. If you had to buy special equipment, sanitization equipment, anything like that, all of those can be used. the money can be used for any of those expenses. If you did have, or if you do have multiple locations or multiple entities, you can only apply for one under one business. So you pick the business with the highest revenue, and that's the business that you apply for the grant under. It seems to be some confusion on exactly how they're going to look at that. If you have, let's say, a business where you're a 50-50 owner, if you have multiple businesses where you're a 50-50 owner, can one owner apply under one business and the other owner apply under the other business? I don't know. They did indicate that your application will be delayed or possibly withdrawn if they do see that you're applying for multiple businesses. So you probably don't want to get too cute with it, but we'll see how that works. Beyond that, so the application itself, like I mentioned, opens on December 30th at 6 a.m. They are going to ask for a couple of things. They're going to ask for your most recent tax return. They're going to ask for your organization document. So that's if you're a corporation, it's your articles of incorporation. If you're an LLC, a certificate of organization. Hopefully you have those on file. If not, you're going to want to request those either from the attorney you use to set it up or potentially from the state of California if you need to get it from them. But you're going to need those documents. If you're not incorporated, you're not an LLC, if you just have a fictitious name document, you can use that. But you're going to need something, basically that paperwork you filled out or got back from the state when you set yourself up. You're also going to need a copy of your ID, your driver's license probably, and your bank account information, the one that you would like the money to be deposited in. And that bank account needs to have had activity in the last 90 days or else they won't be able to put money into it. So just keep that in mind. And then you're also going to want to be prepared to answer some questions about the type of business that you have, including your NAICS code, which shows up on your tax return. If not, I know the application has a lookup. You can look it up, but type of ownership, things like that. Not exactly sure all the questions they're going to ask, but I do know that they do allow you to save it and come back. So if you get halfway through it and get to a question you don't know, then you'll have some time to look up the answer. There's some more kind of information about the grant. It is, like I said, it's not first come first serve. They are going to look at certain criteria when they're giving out the grant. They talked about 4 criteria. One is, locations that have been hit the hardest by COVID will get some preferential treatment. The amount of revenue that you lost, the higher the revenue loss, the more likely you'll get the grant. They're going to look at industries that have been affected the most: restaurants, salons, gyms, health and wellness. Those will be preferred, as well as underserved populations. So women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, businesses in low-income areas will also get higher priority when it comes to the grants. So they will ask you questions related to that when you're filling out the application. And on the revenue loss number, I don't know what period they're going to look for. In the example that they use online, they asked for revenue figures for 2019 and 20, April through September. And they might ask for a different period. So be ready to answer that. And once again, if we do your bookkeeping, we can get that for you. Otherwise, you'll need to go back and kind of get the revenue numbers that they're looking for. And that'll be determined, used to determine how much of a loss you suffered. There a couple of, I guess, FAQ kind of stuff that they mentioned. So the notifications on whether or not you actually receive the grant are going to start going out via email and text message starting January 13th. So be sure to check your spam if you're looking in your email. It's probably going to come from a generic email address that your spam filter might not recognize. So be on the lookout of that. They will notify you if you have been approved or if you have been waitlisted, which probably means move to round two, or if you've been completely denied, they will definitely notify you on any of those. They do recommend that you use the Chrome browser when you're doing the application. So if you don't have that, then you'll want to download it, or the Chrome browser on your phone as well. They did say that you don't want, they won't accept generic company email addresses. So if you have an info at numberwise.net, for instance, then they won't accept that. So do use your email address, and be sure to use good scans of the documents you're submitting. Tax returns shouldn't be too difficult. You should have those in PDF format. The ID is probably going to be the toughest one. You want to don't use kind of a blurry phone image. Try to get a good scan of your ID as well as the organizational documents. Try to get a good scan of that. Don't just take a picture with your phone and upload the JPEGs. There's good applications on your phone. Adobe Scan is one of them if you want to get a good scan of your documents. They did mention, you can apply for the grant even if you received a PPP or an economic injury disaster loan. You just can't use the grant money to pay for expenses that were paid for by these other things. So you just can't double dip in that instance, but that shouldn't be a big problem. And I can say the grant is probably going to be taxable. We will see. It is not a loan. It is a grant, so I would guess that it's going to be taxable. We won't know that until the end of 2021, but keep that in mind when you're planning. And so they aren't going to ask for any documentation of what you use the money for. They aren't going to ask for receipts. They aren't going to ask for, there is no forgiveness application because it's automatically forgiven. But do keep your receipts for 3 years. I would say that in general, always do that, but they have the right to audit you to figure out where you use the money for. So you want to have your receipts just in case. So 2 websites you want to keep in mind. The website for the actual application, which is the careliefgrant.com. I also recommend maybe checking out CaliforniaSBDC.org, which is I think it's Small Business Development. I don't know. CaliforniaSBDC.org. They offer a daily webinar for the next couple days. They've had it the last couple of days, but every day at 11 o'clock they have a webinar discussing these things. If you want to take a look at it, they also offer assistance in filling out the application itself. I do want to pull up so this is the website that you will see the application itself. When you go to this website tomorrow on the 30th, if you scroll down, all the way, there's additional information, but tomorrow there will be the ability to apply. You actually apply through a partner. You can do it by language or by county. You click on the county you're in. You scroll down to whatever your county. I'm in Ventura County. And you do have to pick a partner to apply through. It doesn't really matter. Honestly, I don't know the difference. It's going to be the same application for all of them. There's no cost, no fee. If somebody has helped you through the process, for instance, if you went to an SBDC webinar, maybe you pick them. I don't know if they get any benefit or what it is, but you do have to pick a partner to apply through. Tomorrow on the 30th, you would click on this button and it would take you to the application itself. So once again, the big thing is to be ready to apply. You don't need to be first in line, but you do need to do it by June or January 8th. If unfortunately, I can't fill out the application for you. Not only would that be illegal, but I just don't have the time to do that for all of our clients. But if you do have any questions as you're going through the process, I'd be happy to help you. Definitely, give us a call or send us an email if you're struggling through the application. But I would, for most everybody, look into the process as long as your revenue was somewhere between 1,000 and 2.5 million for 2019. I think it'd be worthwhile to apply. So definitely let me know if you have any questions. I hope this helps.